All right, let's head somewhere nice and warm and safe where people are out having a cold beer and out on the streets. And of course, that's the Northern Territory. They head to the polls in just over 2 weeks. And it's Chief Minister Michael Gunner who's got a major fight on his hands to keep Labor in power. Senator Matt Canavan is up in beautiful Darwin in the lead up to the August 22 election. He joins me now. I wish I was where you are, and I don't think you want to be where I am, but great to see you, Matt. Give me a sense of how things are on the ground up there, because I know that there's been a lot of financial budget issues up there in the NT, and I'm keen to know there's been a doubling of the deficit to about 40% of the revenue in the Territory, over $2 billion in deficit terms. Is that playing into the election?
It sure is, Peter. Before coronavirus was a thing, before the Commonwealth Government started borrowing more money again, the Labor government here has been doing it for years. For 4 years now, the Gunner government has racked up $6.4 billion in debt. To put that in context, an extra $6.4 billion. To put that in context, they started with 1.8. So the debt has grown by multiple times in just 4 years. It has amounted now to a debt of $34,000 per Territorian, and people are aghast at how Labor government here is doing what Labor governments do. They're not managing people's money. They're now trying to blame it all on coronavirus. It was all that, but this happened all before that because they haven't been spending people's money wisely, and they've held back a bunch of projects here in gas, in agriculture, in mining, all held up under this government, and hopefully there's a change in a couple of weeks, because we need this area of our country, parts of this country like this, to get going and take the opportunities they've got.
Yeah, well, just talk to me about some of those projects, because he's had sort of revolving seats in many of his ministry. He's had, I mean, it's been a bit of a basket case in the north for some time between both sides of politics, but he hasn't fared well. He himself was not well there for a little period of time. You've got these budget issues. Most of the coronavirus spending, of course, is coming from the Commonwealth, so I don't know what he is saying it's costing him necessarily in the Territory. But talk to me about the projects. Why are they all on delay?
Well, they're on delay because there was almost an original sin from this government that they came in. They had to do a deal with their left faction to sort of stay together, the Labor Party, ahead of the last election. And so they decided to put a 2-year moratorium on gas developments here in the NT. And that has just completely stopped a lot of work that was happening. I'm not too far here. I'm at the Berry Springs Tavern, about 40 minutes south of Darwin, and a couple of hundred k's down the road, there's a place called the Beetaloo Basin, which has 28 billion barrels of oil in it, according to our geologists. It has over 300 years of gas for Australia, and some of your viewers on the East Coast would know the gas shortages you're having over there. So there's this enormous opportunity for the nation, but especially for the NT, to get what they haven't got in the past, which is cheap and affordable energy. And if we had that, we could then build manufacturing in that great port of Darwin that's connected and close to Asia. It's only a few hours to Singapore by plane. So it's been a big pause button pushed by this Labor government. And as I say, hopefully there's a change so we can get projects like that moving.
I want to ask you about Northern Australia. When the coalition was elected back in 2013, you were there, I was there. It was a big feature of the government's mandate to really kickstart the economy in the north of our country and to do what we've been saying for generations, that we will absolutely bring an economy, bring investment, bring export earnings out of that state, that not just the NT, I'm talking about the top, WA and Queensland as well. It's stalled. I know you were the minister there at one stage, but I mean, I hardly hear anything much now about Northern Australia. Is it still a priority for the government?
It absolutely is, Peter, and one of the frustrations I had when I was the minister was the handbrakes that are put on development by state and territory governments. I've had long battles with the Queensland government over coal and other things, but here in the NT, it's not just the gas, it's the agricultural opportunities. We built this, thanks to the Northern Development Agenda, we built this beautiful road on the Keep River. It helps connect up Kununurra, which is in the Ord, up in the top of Western Australia, with the agricultural lands of northwestern Northern Territory. Now that is all held up because the land hasn't been released, and a couple of weeks ago the government here finally announced that they would release 100,000 hectares of land, but it's all a bit too little too late for this government. They're getting great cotton yields out there at the Ord, And if we could just get more country under irrigation, if you just add water, there's so much good soils, so much opportunity for our country. But we need governments to act, not just talk about it.
I want to ask before you go, LNP party president in Queensland, your home state, David Hutchinson, he's resigned. He was connected to Clive Palmer. Clive Palmer's obviously running against the LNP at the state election. He's been replaced by Cynthia Hardy. Now, I don't know who she is, but can you tell me that the shenanigans and all the stuff and the muck that's been going on, the fights against Deb Frecklington, is that going to all calm down and people just focus on the election against Labor in a couple of months?
I'm 100% sure it will, Peter. The focus over the next 90 days or so is to remove a rotten Labor government there in Queensland. I know Cynthia well. She's a great battler, been a great fighter in the party in local, state and federal election campaigns. And so I think she'll do a terrific job. And just like here in the Territory, you know, there's another Labor government there in Queensland. It's racked up debt, held up projects, not getting jobs moving. And we just need a change of mindset in this country. We need to change the way we go about things and stop being so cautious and start taking some risks, start making some decisions, because that's the only way to get out of the hole we're now in thanks to this coronavirus.